All right, we're recording episode 3 with Hurren.
Hello.
Big name. Dude, I've been stoked for this one. I've been stoked for all 3, but, you know, each one's
Yeah,
cool.
I'm glad you got me on here. I'm excited, dude. Third one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the best to ever do it, really.
I appreciate that, dude. Thank you.
And I'm sure a lot of people would agree. I mean, you've definitely put out some of the most iconic tracks on bikes. Very much so. I mean, even back to the Morin Factory. Was that your first release?
Oof. No, Baja, I think, was the first one. The first Baja. But yeah, it's funny you bring up the Morn Factory. I always forget that I made that. Or at least in the sense of how long it took. Like, it's been so long since I made it.
Dude, honestly, I also forgot you made it. Like no offense. I just thought that Morin was the one that released it because I know right after I downloaded it on one of the Supercross tracks, I found a big line that at the time on the 450 it was like only possible if you hit the corner absolutely perfect. Uh, I wouldn't be able to tell you where it is now. I'd have to go back and play it. But I was in a server with Morin, and I'm like, oh, but you must be the guy that made it since, your name is Morin. Have you seen this gap yet? He's like, no, dude, I never even saw that. Like, that's crazy.
Where'd you say it was at?
It was on the Supercross track that's closer to the spawn.
Okay,
Um,
so it's like lighter dirt. There's the clay one, and then there's like the light dirt or whatever.
I think so.
Is
Yeah,
that?
I remember this track being longer. Oh yeah, because the other one had red dirt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is. I want to say there's a single, then a wall jump, and then a single. And I think it's right before the start straight.
Sounds familiar. It's funny because that track, that whole hype map, was made by Morin's buddy Kyle Watts, and then I kind of just reshaped some of it because it was all obviously built for like sim physics, so the jumps were a lot steeper, and honestly, I could have shaped them all a lot better. And then of course, I added stuff around the map too, like just like the random freestyle stuff, but yeah, I went back and tried playing it one time, and I was just my front end was just kicking up, and it was yeah, dude. It was cool. It was like the first big compound, I guess I did, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember putting in so many hours, like in each sitting, just playing that track. Like,
Oh, you should have seen how many hours we put in just testing it. We would get pretty carried away just playing it instead of working on it. So I think it took it longer to make. So
dude, I believe it. I mean, yeah, I mean, dude, just the jump gap or the creek gap alone, or was it a creek gap or road gap?
it was a creek gap. It was just there was a big river that went through it, and then I think it was one of the last things we did. We just threw it in there because it was empty room,
I mean,
and it was
dude,
just a big loop.
perfect idea because yeah, just that alone, I would spend hours on that. Well, maybe not hours on those 2 jumps by themselves, but dude, so much time has been spent just throwing backflips, throwing oppos over those. That's so much fun.
I can't remember if you needed a 450 or not. I want to say you could have used a 250 on it, but I remember it was really hard, and I was in a lobby, and like all the guys were casing it. I don't remember if it was the same gap, because I remember there's 2 jumps on each side. I don't remember if they're both the same gap size, but yeah, everyone was like casing it and stuff. But yeah, I can't remember if you needed a 450 or not. But
I think on the 250, you just had to like go through the woods and like actually leave the area to get enough speed. But
yep, yeah, you're right.
yeah, and then
So I
on the
remember.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I remember. I think all the guys that were on 250s or 125s or whatever, the guys that weren't clearing it, they were backing up, and there was just an insane amount of ruts going through the grass from everyone just going farther back.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, even a 450 would be stretching it.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
But yeah, and then Baja Brawl. I mean, Dude, that is one of the most iconic tracks on bikes. That's like, I mean, you might not see it around very much anymore because it is kind of monopolized by the farms and forest and club servers, which, you know,
Oh yeah.
I know we all have our thoughts about that and
Yeah.
opinions, but for the longest time, dude, Baja Brawl, the original one, it was on just about every server. Like if it wasn't Maryland or something else, it was Baja Brawl.
Oh, it blew me by surprise because before that, I don't think I'd even made a track since like Reflex in 2016 or something. And so I think that height map was originally for Reflex, and I just never finished it because on Reflex there was the beta track section on Reflex Central, and I want to say that was it, and then um, just threw it into bikes and like adjusted it for the physics, and I was pretty shocked how many people enjoyed it because I couldn't even hardly play the game, so it was like I didn't know if it was gonna be fun for everyone else, but I guess it worked out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the roughness all around the track, the way it deformed. I mean, it's even survived well to this day. Like it's aged really well. I know I've played it not too long. I think it was a couple months ago. But yeah, I mean, not a lot of tracks age super well. I mean, you see a lot of tracks that were fun back in the day, a couple years ago, that you go back to them now and either, you know, they're straight sand material or compact soil, and like it just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, dude, I used to see so many servers with Thursday Night Motocross on it, and I don't
Yeah,
see any of those anymore. And like, I didn't appreciate that track as much when I first started playing the game. Like, it wasn't an incredibly hard track by any means,
it's a
but
great one to learn on though.
yeah. But once you start getting good, you can hit like the table. So like,
Yeah,
I don't know if you want to consider that a quad or a double, but I mean that jump was always a lot of fun. And once I started getting good at the game, I enjoyed that track more. But yeah, like now I never see it.
yeah, yeah. That is. I mean, with today's standards, it is a little bit boring and monotonous. Like, there's really no lines. It's kind of just like MX Unleashed, just flat everywhere. There's no
Yeah,
roughness really. Maybe a couple braking bumps here and there,
for sure.
but I mean, yeah, I mean, certified classic.
Oh yeah, I couldn't tell you last time I played it, but kind of been itching to.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, same thing with that track. I played it not too long ago because sometimes I get tired of all the new tracks. Like a lot of the new tracks are just difficult, and I might have over 2,000 hours in the game, but I wouldn't say I'm good.
I was just about to ask you how many hours you had.
Yeah. Let's see. Right now I have 2,069.1.
Yeah, so you got me by 500 hours. I'm at 1,554,
Yeah.
and I would argue that most of that is just leaving the game idle from going back and forth with track making. Because honestly, dude, aside of just making tracks and testing them, like it's not very often I'll hop into a server unless I'm playing with friends or something. But even at that point, like it's just been kind of dead lately. Not the game entirely, but just even just friends and stuff like that. I haven't been doing much, but we've been
Yeah.
on Reflex.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah,
a
I've
lot
been
of
seeing all
Reflex.
those stories. The most toxic plan Reflex, part
Yeah,
472.
yeah, dude. That game's just so full of content. So it's like,
Is that booming right now?
uh, you
Like,
know
is
what's
it
funny?
coming
Because
back?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't think so. It might have grown a little bit, but um, we were putting out just TikToks of it because I had a YouTube video, or I guess YouTube videos of just compilations of clips of us just messing around and whatnot. And then YouTube, of course, doesn't get like any views compared to TikTok, especially on certain like genres and stuff, especially like Reflex. But they started popping off, and then so one of them really blew up, and a
Hmm.
lot of people were commenting saying that they bought the game again, or
Oh,
even for the first time. So like it kind of had me thinking like, dude, like what if the game's like blowing back up a little bit? I mean, like I haven't seen any kind of statistics or anything by any means, but I mean, if you hop on and you hit quick match or supercross nationals or whatever, like there's almost always people in lobbies now. At least when I'm on, I'll get lucky and see it. But it's you'll find that a lot of them are like the same guys. So a lot of those guys are always in there every night. But
The diehards.
yeah,
They haven't played any other game since 2009.
honestly, yeah. But dude, it's honestly like we used to always just play the custom tracks, but it's fun to just hop in the pub lobbies and mess around. But
Oh yeah, the old
yeah,
Sandwick.
oh yeah, and the D forum,
Dude,
perfect.
honestly, that game was not bad with Deform. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, it was great. I think it's the best D forum in any motocross game.
Yeah,
Like you can not only does the deform form, but like you can use the deform to the physics. Like you can actually hit a rut that you basically created. Not always, but sometimes you can actually get it pretty good, and it's like satisfying. It's fun, but
yeah, it doesn't just send you in a wonk.
yeah, and bikes, dude, man, it's just everything is jagged, so you can appreciate it more in that game. But
Yeah, I could definitely understand that. Yeah, I actually never got into. Well, all right. So let me rephrase this before you get mad at me. I played tons of Reflex when I was on 360, but
uh-huh.
once I got a computer, which I didn't get a PC until 2020. So yeah, ever since I've been on PC, I have touched Reflex once, and it was while I was just playing bikes nonstop. Like it was This was when I was on deployment in Okinawa back in 20. Yeah, that was in 2020, because I got the computer right before deployment. But Reflex went on sale for $1 on Steam, so I'm like, oh, why would I not, right? So I hopped on, and the physics felt so weird to me, just because I've been putting 40 hours a week into playing bikes because there's nothing else to do on deployment than just play games. And I touched it that one time, and I kind of haven't touched it since.
that's funny because I couldn't tell you how many hours I played it on Reflex or played on Xbox 360, but that's why I got a PC in the first place, is because I saw I don't know if you're familiar with Return of Dio or Yellow SUK, but those
Yeah,
guys
Yellow
would
S2K.
do all kinds of Reflex videos, and I was like, I saw them play some custom track, or I think it was like the one of the first custom tracks out, and it was called Two Broken Wrists,
Mm-hmm.
and it was there was no environment, hardly any textures, but I just randomly saw it on YouTube one day, and I was like, dude, like my favorite game ever, and you can play custom tracks on it. No way, I got to figure out how to do it on a console. And then I found
Dude, I did
out
the
you obviously
same
can't
thing.
use console, dude. Yeah, I was like, okay, well, I guess I gotta get a computer, and so I didn't know anything about gaming PCs, and back then, like gaming PCs weren't even as popular as they are now.
Yeah, it was
So I
super
had some like,
niche.
yeah, I had like a Dell Optiplex with no GPU, and I couldn't run even the stock tracks, nothing, couldn't run it, period.
No.
So choppy, like I was so disappointed, and then I ordered like some fat graphics card, and I didn't know anything about compatibility, like hardware
Oh.
compatibility, and so it of course didn't even fit my PC, didn't fit the motherboard, didn't even fit in the case,
And
and then I had to return it.
I'm sure at that
Yeah,
age too, like you probably weren't buying it. It was probably your parents. So I'd
yeah,
ima- I just
yeah, it was a
imagine you
Christmas present,
like,
I think.
yeah, like just begging for this PC, and they finally give in, and you get it, and you're like, well, I can't even use it for the one reason why I wanted it.
I know, yeah, and I kind of felt bad too because I was like, I mean, it wasn't an expensive PC, like it was a Dell
Yeah.
Optiplex, but like it was a Christmas present, and so I was like, dang, like I just had them spend money on a PC that can't run Reflex, but it worked out though because uh, I was doing graphic design work like even when I was like a freshman in high school, so I just used that PC for like Photoshop and whatnot. It didn't even run Photoshop all that great, but it got the job done, I guess. But
It could run the
yeah,
hell out
dude.
of Gmail though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then I had a buddy named Josh who I'd go to his house, and he didn't even have like a beefed up PC at the time. It was just like an integrated graphics on his motherboard, and he was running Rubicon, which was like one of the biggest custom tracks. I don't know how familiar you are with it, and he was running it like 60 FPS smooth, and like back then, like 60 FPS, it was like
Yeah, that was a big deal.
breathtaking.
Yeah, because consoles hadn't even gotten to that point yet. I think consoles were still 30 hertz.
Yeah, and it was like, it looked so smooth. I was like, dude, like my PC isn't even a fraction of this. Like, it was like, I don't know, something about it was just the coolest thing ever. So then when I found out how to make tracks, it was like, it was all over from there, dude. But yeah, Reflex.
Yeah, I think I was talking to Red on his episode about yeah, same thing when I discovered Yellow S2K, and I think Wyndham 141 was making tracks on Reflex back then as well.
Yeah.
But I would watch their tracks and see all these custom tracks, and I'm like, well, I didn't realize at the time that it was a PC thing. I was just like, I've got to find these tracks like somewhere in the menus. Like, do I have to win a certain amount of races and I start unlocking them? Like, what is going on? Like, I just completely couldn't figure it out, like, how people were playing these custom tracks. And
I thought it was like DLC or something.
yeah, same. And, you know, I wasn't even stupid about just Reflex. I was stupid about so many other things. So funny story, when I was in my first ever Minecraft phase, you know, back in, you know, middle school at some point, and I was still in the 360. I had my Xbox Live account that I had been using for maybe 3 years at the time. And, you know, Modern Warfare 2, I was like Prestige 2, like level 70. I've got all these stats and stuff on this profile.
Oh, yeah.
I'll get to the point here soon. But the thing about the Minecraft phase, so... Oh, I could hear myself a little bit. I don't know if that's your mic.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, my mic's bugging out.
Oh, you're good. But yeah, so the part about the Minecraft phase, so I found out that you were able to get modded maps on Minecraft. And I don't know if it was a scam just to trick, you know, 12-year-olds into downloading some virus, but I watched a video on how to do it. You have to download this super sketchy app to your PC, and then you have to put your Xbox profile on a flash drive, put that flash drive into the computer.
Oh, yeah.
And sync it up to this app.
Using Horizon. It was called Horizon.
I think that's correct.
The app I used, at least I remember, there was an app called Xbox Horizon or something. And you did all the flash drive stuff. You like put the map on the flash drive through Horizon, and then you plug it into your 360, and then like you get the PC maps or something on your Xbox. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and when I was on the app, like there was like the standard Minecraft stuff, but then you could also change like your gamer score and that like number that was like a low opacity in the top right corner of the Xbox profile, whatever it was. It was like 1 through 10.
Yeah, it was how many years you had your account.
Oh, was that it?
Yeah, it was your gamer score and then how many years you've had an Xbox Live membership. I'm like 90% sure. I don't know if I'm 100% right, but...
Yeah, all this time I thought it was how many games you've 100%ed. But, I mean, I could be wrong.
It could be.
Yeah,
it could, yeah, I mean, like... Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't quote me on it, but I want to say like that was what I remembered. I don't know, but...
Yeah, but in this app, you were able to change that number, and I'm like, well, I don't know what this number is, but I'm going to change it to 10. And so I got the Minecraft stuff, I got the profile stuff, I plugged my flash drive back into my Xbox, loaded it up, and I was able to play for, I think, a day. And the next day, I logged in to Xbox, and a note came up that said,
"Yep,
your account is banned until, get this, December 31st, 9,999.
Oh, you got the 1,000-year ban.
I got the permaban. Not 8,000-year ban.
I remember that, dude. You bring back so many memories. Like, luckily, I never had that, but I remember using Horizon and like messing with my account, and I was always scared to do something like crazy on it because I thought I was gonna get banned. But yeah, dude, I remember that, and there was a portion of it I think where you paid for it, and I want to say like I used $20 that I was gonna spend on 1,600 Microsoft points and like use it for like a premium thing. Like I could be wrong. It was so many years ago, I don't remember, but like I remember I was super into that and Halo. But
I actually never got into Halo. I was more of COD and Battlefield, which I've literally got the 360 copy of Modern Warfare 2 sitting on my desk right now.
yeah, I was big into Call of Duty as well. I have 3 Modern Warfare 2 discs and cases in my closet, and I just saw them the other day because I was moving stuff into my new apartment, and I was like, dude, I remember I scratched so many of those discs because, like, one time I was playing and my buddy hit like a foldable chair over on accident and it landed on my 360. And then you just hear this obnoxious grinding sound, dude.
Oh, I
And
heard
it
about
got a
that.
big ring. Yeah, it had the big ring in it, and then I had to buy a new one. Luckily, I didn't have my parents buy any of them because they probably would have gotten really fed up. But yeah, I remember I bought so many of those copies because just something stupid would happen. But
And this game
yeah,
held its value for years. It was $60 until like Black Ops 3 came out, basically.
they just don't make them like that anymore, man. Like
They
it
don't.
sucks. I don't know if it's just because we're older and like that's just a nostalgia thing, but at the same time, it's like, dude, like they actually were creative and they cared about more than just microtransactions or just getting the game out in under a year or whatever. But I mean,
Yeah.
back then also they didn't use as much, I guess, as they do now in terms of like graphics and whatever. But
I mean, I guess, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's really just tries and textures.
yeah,
But I mean, I hate the fact that it feels nostalgic that November of 2009, you walked out of GameStop with a complete game.
yeah, dude, I miss those days sitting in line.
So I never did a I don't think I ever did a midnight release for anything, but the 2 games that I got the very next day were Modern Warfare 3 and GTA 5.
Modern Warfare 3, that was my one and only all-nighter, or whatever you want to call it, the line. My
Oh,
sister and
really?
I went to a GameStop, yeah. And because Modern Warfare 2 was so good that when Modern Warfare 3 came out, like, everybody was hyped. And that was the one and only game I ever went and waited in line for at midnight. And my sister and I waited in line for like an hour and a half or something like that. And then my mom let me skip school the next day.
What?
And like she was so cool enough to let me do that, dude, because I was so hyped for it.
I could
And
never dream of that.
I think the only reason she let me is because like my friend Mitchell and I at the time both had the plan of getting it that night, and like our families were really close. So she talked to his mom, and we were both like begging both of them if we could stay home from school the next day and play together, and they were really cool about it and let us. And I remember we stayed home and then played it, and then the next day when we went back to school, I was in my third hour, and my teacher had this list because every day when you start off class, they would have like the schedule for the hour on the projector. And instead of the schedule when we got back, it was like this makeshift wanted list that the teacher made. And it was a big list of all the kids who skipped school
Oh, no
for the
way.
game just by like accusations. Like the teachers didn't even have solid proof. I mean, they were right, so
Yeah.
I can't really say they didn't. But like, people were like tattling and saying that me and a bunch of other people skipped for it, which we obviously did. And
Rightfully so.
yeah, it was just like this big thing on the screen that said wanted students who skipped school for the latest greatest video game. And I remember it like word for word. And it was me, and there was like like 5 to 10 other people. Like so many people skip school for it, and it was just like it was kind of weird. But yeah, dude, I missed that. Like that was such a good time, dude.
But dude, you know what's cool is like your mom definitely could have just said no, it's a video game, it'll be here when you get home. That's stupid. You're not skipping school. But
A
like
violent video game too.
yeah, but just the fact that she agreed and your friend's mom agreed, like you're how old?
I'm 24. I'll be 25 next month.
Yeah, so what is that? 10? No, I think that's 11 or 12 years and you still remember that.
Yeah, no, that was a vivid memory, dude. Because, like I said, like those were such good games. That like, same thing with Minecraft too. Like, not to change the subject, but like, dude, when my buddy showed me Minecraft in like 2013 or something, like that was
Oh, it
like
was
a great
huge.
time that I wish I could go back to. Like, yeah.
Dude, I wish all the time that I could go back to the old days of playing video games.
Mhm.
Like you get like right now, if I tried to like sit down and play any game all night, I would get to maybe midnight and be like, "All right, this is stupid." Like I'm ready for bed. I'm burnt out.
Yeah.
But like I miss like 1 in the morning, you're cracking a fresh Mountain Dew voltage, you're ready to go.
And it's got the double XP codes on the cap
yes,
or whatever.
dude. And my friend Jake growing up, when Modern Warfare 3 came out, they had it wasn't the voltage. I think it was just a special edition Mountain Dew, but it had like the Modern Warfare 3 cover on the can.
Yep.
And it had to have been a different flavor because we were drinking it and we're like, this is so good, but it doesn't taste like Mountain Dew. And there was one left that he saved until until we graduated high school, and I'm 25.
Wow.
So what was that like? 6 years.
Jeez.
God, what a time to be alive. I do feel bad for this generation. Like, that sounds like a very old thing to say, but I do feel very bad for this generation to where they're playing. I don't even remember the current COD that's at. Oh, Modern Warfare 2, which, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't even buy it.
It's funny because sometimes I'll be like times were definitely better back then, and things are so different now. And then I think about the same thing, like there's also the generation before us, and you could even say a little bit of our generation too, that had Fortnite. And like I was one of the people where when Fortnite came out, I was like, wow, that's like stupid, it's lame, it's cartoony, it looks like crap. Like there's no way that game's ever gonna be something that I play. And then it eventually grew on me, and I played it a little bit. Like I wouldn't consider myself like super into it at any point, but like I had a lot of good times playing Fortnite too. But like, and now that was like back in like what 2017 or 2018,
I think
and
that.
now like
I
no
think,
one
yeah,
really
2018.
plays. Yeah, and so like now I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, dude, I didn't even care for that game that much when it came out, and then got into it a little bit, and even now like I kind of miss that.
Yeah, Fortnite. So I started out pretty much the same as you. Like, I'm like, no, this is stupid. I'll never get it. Like, even if it's free, I'm never going to download it. And I stuck to that, but one of my buddies, he was like, dude, you just got to try it. I was the same way. I said I was never going to play it. You just got to try one game. And if you don't like it, I'll never tell you to play it again. So I hopped on his console, and I tried one game, and I died instantly. And I'm like, no, this is stupid. He's like, no, just give it one more shot. You got to at least get a kill. I'm like, okay. I played another game. I got one kill, died, and that was the last time I played it.
That's funny.
The one battle royale that I did like, it's definitely not going to be the one you think, is PUBG Mobile. Specifically the mobile version.
That's actually funny because I was just about to say that was part of the reason why I didn't care for Fortnite, because that's when I was getting into PC gaming.
Yeah.
And I played the hell out of PUBG because I watched like Shroud, and I thought it was like the most satisfying game ever. And so then when there was this other battle royale game Fortnite, obviously, that came out, I was like, yeah, no, this is like some phony crap. Like, this is just lame. And obviously there was H1Z1 before PUBG, so PUBG wasn't even technically the original battle royale. But
Yeah.
yeah, I never played mobile games, but I do know PUBG was pretty big on mobile. So
And the reason why I got the mobile version originally, so I had moved to a new duty station, and this specific duty station, I was there for 2 years, and the Wi-Fi that was on that base, I don't know if it has something to do with the net. I'm not even going to try to figure it out why. I don't know anything about internet other than, 5 gigahertz is faster than 2.4, but however it was set up, you were able to like stream and like watch YouTube and like do all this stuff, but online gaming, like you couldn't do it. Like it's not like it was slow, you just physically could not connect. Like it was part of the way the internet was coded or whatever, because it was a top secret installation. I'm not going to really go into too much detail, especially on a podcast, but I do believe that had something to do with it. But yeah, for 2 years though, if I wanted to play an online like console game, I had to use my mobile hotspot, and of course, it drains battery, it racks up your phone bill, and your phone gets just burning hot. So I would only do that once in a while. So yeah, I was pretty much left with either single player games or mobile multiplayer games.
Jeez.
And yeah, I played so much PUBG Mobile, and I don't know why that game was so much fun. And then once I was able to actually get regular Wi-Fi again, I downloaded the console version and hated it.
Oh, it was so bad on console when it came out, dude. It was so bad.
And it's funny because it's the exact same game. It's just now I'm using a normal, control system.
Yeah. Yep, I remember I had friends that, cause like I said, this was when I was playing PC, so then all my other friends from high school were playing on a console still. And I would hop in duos with them or whatever, and the game was just so buggy, and you couldn't use a mouse, so you couldn't aim accurately, and that was like my whole thing was I liked being able to aim with a mouse.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't like engage in gunfire and crap like that as much. We just kind of like were babies and just laid down in weeds and stuff. But it was fun though.
Wait for the circle to close and then get up and die.
Yep. Exactly.
It's the name of the game with battle royales. I'm kind of happy they're dead.
Dude, those games gave me so much anxiety, dude. Like straight up fight or flight response, just playing a video game all the time.
I mean, the thing that's so nerve-wracking about them is because they're so time-consuming. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're getting close to winning a game, or, like, if there's, I don't know, what is it, like 60 people a game? 75? So, either way, like, once it gets down to, like, the last 5 players or so, you've already put in 45 minutes to the game. Like, if you don't win, which I've only won one battle royale game ever, and it was on the original Warzone, like a month after it released, which was about the time I was getting burnt out. Yeah, at that point it's been 45 minutes. If you don't win, you just wasted almost an hour of your life. So yeah, when you start getting shot from the back, it's like, oh no, like, is this all gonna go to waste, or like am I gonna pull through?
Heart starts pounding.
Exactly.
Palms sweating.
Arms heavy.
Yeah. Is vomit on a sweat already?
I had to follow along with that. Yeah. But dude, I want to know about the graphic design stuff. Because one thing I've always noticed about your tracks, I mean, all the way back to when you released Baja Brawl in the Morn Factory, so I didn't know a thing about graphic design at the time because I wasn't with my current girlfriend at the time, which, I mean, that she does graphic design. And ever since I've been with her, like, I've learned a ton.
And she's good at it, too. I've seen her page. She's really good at it.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'll definitely have to let her know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I would show her some of your thumbnails and like MXP mods posts, and she's like, "Oh, he did this for this, like his color palette this, and his fonts this, and like yeah, she's always been stoked about your stuff, which makes me even more stoked about your stuff." And like the fact that like all of your tracks, like it looks like a brand, like it doesn't look like 99% of other creators, like nothing against other creators including me, but like each track is like it's different, like you wouldn't be able to tell it's from the same creator, but your tracks, from the moment you see the thumbnail to, I mean, even in game, the textures are all very like I'd be able to tell I'm on a Hurren track without looking at even your color palette or your logo. Like I don't know, I just think it's so cool how it's branded so well, and you don't see that a lot in bikes or in video games in general for creator made content.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's the goal. I mean, like when I'm making a track, I obviously wasn't always able to do what I can now with graphic design, and like I'm still not where I want to be with design and stuff. But years ago, when I didn't know as much as I know now, it was like harder, obviously, just to make the tracks because you kind of have to, or I guess you kind of have a little bit of a head start with making tracks if you are familiar with design software. But when I'm making a track now, I try to make them, like you said, like a brand. Like I try to really personify a track, and I want to make it seem like if somebody's gonna buy it, or even if it's just like a free track, like if someone's gonna get it, that they know they got something that had a lot of time spent in on it, and it was patiently made, I guess.
Yeah.
And it has its own personality in a way. And like obviously with color you can do that easily. And so my goal has always just been make a track look nice, of course, but use it as a way of, if it works great in the game and people like it in the game, that's good. And if somebody works in like a gaming industry or even just like a motocross gaming industry and they saw it, then that could be like a potential job or something. So but yeah, I don't know. If you enjoy doing it, then like the tracks are gonna come out looking better, and if you spend time on things, they're rewarding in the end. So that's what I try to do, is I try to make every track look better than the last one. So
Yeah, and I mean it's very clear that you're succeeding at doing that. And the other thing I think is so cool is I specifically want to talk about Avalanche, because that track, like, I mean, it is gorgeous.
Thank you.
I mean, plus the whole snow thing. I mean, minds were blown when that first dropped, and mines are still blown because I cannot figure out how you do that. But anyway,
I can tell you how.
Ooh, I would like that. We'll save that.
You just take a. Yeah, we can save it for whatever.
I mean, if you want to put it out there, that's on you.
Well, if I can remember correctly, there's it's almost like a GIF, like you're making a GIF, but there's like the notes. I don't know how to describe it because it's been so long, I guess, but you can make like an animated texture in a way, and so you can just make a GIF of an animated texture, and like if it's snow or something, obviously it's gonna have like a black background. Then you can just throw in the alpha channel, that way the black background doesn't show up, and then you just plaster like a ton of polygons of a GIF all over the map, and it just fakes like a snow effect.
Oh, so this is actually on the track. This isn't like on the screen, I guess.
Yeah, it's just like an array of polygons essentially. It literally just looks like a big checkerboard of crisscrossed polygons just repeated over the whole map.
Wow.
If you were to sit in one spot and look at the the polygon, like you could see that it's a plane just cutting into the terrain or something. Like it's just a big wall, pretty much.
Wow. Yeah, I would have never thought of that. I thought it was something that's actually like coded into like it's on the screen, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I want to say that that's how they did it in Sim. Was they did what I did. So I mean, I can't really credit myself and say that I came up with it by any means, but I'm pretty sure that in Sim that's what they did, was they just took polygons. But I have no idea. I didn't play Sim all that much, but
Yeah. Yeah, I guess for anyone listening that doesn't really understand what I'm saying by like being on the screen, you could almost think of like if you're in first person and you get dirt on your goggles, like that would be what I would be calling like on the screen, quote unquote.
like an overlay or something.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's what I thought it was. I didn't know it was an actual object on the track. But yeah, that's super interesting.
I guess that means it was a job well done though, because that was the goal. So
Yeah. Yeah, I love nerding out about that stuff. But then the other thing about Avalanche that I love is you definitely took a lesser or less is more less is more approach to it. With like so like you've got a good amount of assets on the track, like a bunch of trees, a bunch of bushes, you got some stakes, tough blocks and stuff, but everything is white except for the tough blocks and finish line, I believe.
yep, yep, on the van. Yeah.
I geek out so hard at that because it's just so cool, dude. Because like you look at most tracks and everything's just thrown in your face. It's just like a big vomit of colors and things and stuff. But then you look at Avalanche, it's definitely one of the most visually appealing tracks in bikes, and definitely one of the most unique. Like, there's a couple snow tracks that came before it, but I mean, this one I would say is easily, definitely different in a lot of ways. But just the fact that you've got your branded color on a couple objects, and after that, that's it. Everything else is snowed over. I love that.
It's funny because I think they were originally pink, and I have no idea why I wanted them to be pink. I just thought that like pink and white looked cool, and like it looked decent. I mean, like I could have got away with it, I guess, but I was like, well, I guess if I'm gonna put a bunch of tough blocks and track markers that are with my logo on, I might as well just make them the neon color. And I think back then was when I was trying to still make a brand. Like I don't even think back then I had like a full-on like established color code for all my stuff. Like, cause like now I always use the same color code, like the same hex code for anything that I make that has that flow yellow. But yeah, I had randomly thought it looked good with the white. And I guess if I had too many different colors go with the white, then it didn't look as good. But
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it though. Yeah.
Yeah, I think on your compound, and then I think on your compound there's a good amount of stuff that's the flow yellow, but yeah, it wasn't to the point to where it was on Avalanche and everything after that. Which I mean, the colors become iconic, and
Yeah.
no one would be able to argue with me against that.
I did a lot of like music work. So like my freelance business, I always did like I have a portfolio of all the music work I've done. So I used to work for a couple of record labels, and I would do cover art for their there's like a certain name they had for their new artists on their rosters.
Mm-hmm.
And I would handle their cover art and sometimes like their tour stuff. And so can't remember where I was getting with that, but yeah, then I started doing it in the track, and figured I should just stick with like a set of pretty much just like a brand, I guess. I can't remember where I was going with it, but yeah, like I think that's what JV does really good, is he doesn't use like crazy vibrant colors or something, or like crazy green grass. Like
Yeah.
everything's cohesive, and it looks like it was put together with patience and stuff, and it's not super overwhelming or anything. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and I mean the MXGP stuff, like it's in your face, but IRL it's supposed to be in your face. But yeah, everything else he's done, like especially oh geez, what was that track? Madagascar, so
yeah.
good. I cannot figure out, like, just like with your with the snow, like I cannot figure out how he made the jungles look so real. Like I've tried dissecting like the assets that he used, the 3D grass, the texture, like everything about the jungle. Like I've been turning on off 3D grass a bunch to see like the difference between, whatever. I can't figure it out. Like I've tried to do super thick, like maybe not jungle but woods, like in KI tracks I tried to make that super thick, and you know, it turned out everyone was just going 30 FPS through the woods, and I'm like, well, I kind of flopped on that one, but
You live and you learn.
yeah.
Right, the Morin factory was like 2 gigabytes or something. So
Well, dude, even like my 2022 Tampa, I mean that track was like, I want to say it was 400 by 400 or maybe even 300 by 300 meters, and that was even like 800 gigabytes. But I know why that.
800, holy.
Well, I know why that is now. Two reasons mainly. I didn't know that you weren't supposed to use 3D trees, and I have a lot of 3D trees on that track.
Oh, yep, same with Morin factory, yeah.
And then the textures. I kind of took the Ducky MX or Ducky MX approach before the Ducky MX approach was laughed upon. I had like, I think on 2022 Tampa I had 30-ish textures. And then even with KI tracks, I mean, granted that one has 5 tracks in a trail loop, but that one has 40 texture layers as well. And
does it cap at 40?
Oh no, I just used enough at that point.
Oh, because I remember, I think it was a Skrillex or somebody may have had like 40 layers or something on their track, and people were talking about it. But
yeah, that's the Ducky that I'm referring to.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that we're not gonna talk about that. I don't want drama, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know the whole story, so I mean, I wouldn't get into it either.
Oh, dude, I was following that like a whatever good analogy would be. But dude, I was following that so close when that was going down. Like I was grabbing the popcorn and watching him and Mook go back at it. But
yeah.
Yeah, what a juicy time.
Yeah. Interesting time in the community.
Sure. Oh yeah. We have one of those every once in a while where something will break out and, everyone's fighting.
Yeah. It's what it is, I guess.
It'll be like a good week of violence, and then everyone's back to normal, just playing Forest or whatever people do.
Yeah, I mean, like, in the way I see it is, none of us have really met in person, so there's, of course, the language barrier, especially if there's people from 2 different countries beefing or whatever. And then at the same time, like, arguing on the internet is so much different than arguing in person. Like, so if you're arguing with somebody on the internet, you could have met that person in person, and your first experience with them would have been the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you meet someone in person, it's nothing like on the internet. So I don't know. I feel like it'd be easy to just get over all that.
Especially if you
crap,
know
like gaming crap, but
yeah, especially if you know that person's in another country. Like, people will say some abominable things just because they know they will never have to face it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, I'm sure if you took what's his name, Skrillex, even if you took Skrillex and Mook and put him face to face in person, I bet they'd be able to figure it out.
Oh, I 100% believe that. Yeah.
The internet just does something to people.
Well, it's like if there's people who take the time out of the day to comment on a YouTube video something negative, but like in real life, they're a lot less likely to just say whatever they're thinking because they know there's no consequence on the internet versus in person. So I mean,
And the thing that sucks too is like, let's say someone puts a comment on someone's track like, "Hey, your track sucks. It's not fun, and God forbid it's a track shop." Like,
yep,
that just multiplies the comments and the comments intensity. But like, yeah, like you were saying, if you met in person, not only would they not say anything about the track, I guarantee 99% of people, like, if they were like, "Oh, you made this track that I put a super mean comment on?" Dude, I actually loved that track. I thought it was so much fun. I was just giving you a hard time.
yeah.
10 out of 10 times.
I think about that sometimes. Like, I mean, I think everybody to an extent's gotta understand to just ignore people that send stupid comments. But and if you think about it, like you said, like in person, like it wouldn't be anything like that. It would be so different. And even if someone had talked some smack on your track, like in person, they'd be a little more, I don't know, forgiving, or they'd have a tone you could understand what they're saying. But
Yeah, I mean, or they're just completely fake in person. Either
yeah,
one.
oh yeah, definitely that. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've gotten my fair share of comments on tracks that, like, I've attempted to not take to heart. Like, I mean, even on Elevator, there's 2 comments on Elevator on the shop, and like one of them is like, "Oh, it's a decent track for $1. Like, I think more tracks should be $1." Like, okay, cool, fine. But then the other comment, like the one other comment, "This track has no flow and it's not really fun, but it's okay for $1." Like, but like, what? Like, what's the point of saying that?
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna let it super get to me, because I mean, I have seen what, a lot more of what other people are saying, and I don't want to say anyone's more important than others, but like, if I've got other track creators telling me that it's good, like, even if they're just beefing me up and they're just yanking my chain, but like, if I've got actual like people that have been around for a while saying like, "Hey man, it was pretty decent," like, even if it's not the best one, like, I'll take that. Like, I don't know how I'm trying to explain it, but like, I would take that more so to heart than I would just some random person that I've never heard of before. He has no releases of anything.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one thing to give somebody constructive criticism versus someone just complaining. I mean, you can usually tell the difference, but at the end of the day, like if somebody's gonna create that big of a problem over a buck or two or whatever it is, then you kind of have to just understand that they got to be unhappy with themselves, because not everybody's just gonna take time out of the day, waste time out of the day just to talk crap. Like,
Yeah.
and there's definitely been times when somebody has said something to me or like commented on a track, and it has just absolutely set me off
Yeah.
because of just how false it would be. Like I remember I put out that that tourniquet compound, and somebody had commented saying that uh, they didn't care for it because it felt like the Supercross track was rushed or something, and the Supercross track took longer to make than the national track, and they said that the Supercross track was totally rushed and all that stuff, and I was like, what? How? Like, what did I do? Like, I tried to get creative with it, tried to put a little bit of elevation change into it, and just like add in just rhythm sections that you wouldn't see in real life, but like still work with the game in a way.
Yeah.
And I remember like it made me so angry, but then I was just like, well, I mean, it's just better to just get over it and understand that for one, they bought it and they played it, so like you have to.
Cash still in the bank.
Yeah, like I mean, they still gave you support, so I mean, there's no sense in complaining. I mean, like, sure, they could be nicer about giving constructive criticism, but if they're gonna be rude about it, then like whatever, that just says whatever about themselves. But
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the
but
one
yeah,
thing that like does it for me with like negative comments that have no constructive element to it is like you get those comments, JV gets those comments, TFC gets those comments. Like all of the biggest and best track makers get those comments. So why should any of them matter? Like why should any of them be taken with anything more than a grain of salt?
Exactly. Yeah. Everybody gets them. So
everyone's just got something to say.
yeah, and I mean they could just be having a bad day. I mean, and it's hard to see it from their perspective in the time being because you put so much work into something and then somebody like craps on it. But then like you see like your favorite band puts out like a new single and you check the comments and you just hope that everybody loves it as much as you do or whatever. And then like half the people are just talking smack and you're like, dude, like imagine if you were the songwriter who's maybe even famous. So like you have hundreds of thousands of people saying this compared to just like an MX Bikes track, dude. I'm just like, is it really worth it to get upset over it when there's people who are famous and their songs are getting crapped on by people who don't even make music, probably aren't even doing anything important with their lives? Like it's just normal. Like that just comes with making stuff. But
yeah, I mean that is definitely one thing to consider, especially for anyone that is considering or has made tracks. And if your first track or two is like a total cheese fest, like everything sucks about it, even if it really does suck and you're getting bad comments on it, like for one, take it with a grain of salt, but also that's going to happen regardless of how good the track is.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, try not to get super discouraged by it. Like
for sure.
If everyone says it sucks, then it probably sucks, but that's just a sign to get good. I don't mean to say get good, but like
get better. Yeah.
Like there's plenty of resources out there, especially now. Like dude, when I first started making tracks, I mean even more so for you and like other dudes, but when we first started making tracks, there was nothing. There was the TFC series and the forum and Kraken series, which pretty much just taught you how to use his program. Like there wasn't an Earthworks. There wasn't, all of these YouTube tutorials that there are now. I mean, there's plenty of tutorials out there. There's people who are like, hey, hit me up if you have any questions. Like, there's people all over the place that are willing to help.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot more resources now than there was back in 2020 and 2019.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally salute anyone who, before Rezo released his tool, if you made a track before the tool, you're a G.
Yeah, I give those guys mad props because I probably would have never gotten a track making if I knew I had to do all the notepad stuff.
Yeah. I think I talked about this on Jesse's episode, but yeah, I tried to do a track. It's called Sunset Ridge, or as everyone else knows it as in the game, Walnut.
Yep.
And I put like a week into it, and I went to like do the bat files or whatever it is, and something didn't work, and I couldn't figure out what didn't work. And of course, at that time, I don't know why anything needs to be the way it does. Like, 2049 by 2049 for the height map, and anything that has to do with numbers or whatever, I had no idea why it had to be that way. So like when the bat files or whatever didn't work, I couldn't just figure it out. I couldn't go in like, all right, well, my texture is correct, the size is correct, 8-bit, 16-bit, whatever have you. Like, so I'm like, you know what? I've put a lot of time into this, but I'm done. And a week later, Muppet released Walnut for the first time. So, I mean, his track would have beat mine 1,000 times over anyway, because people still play that track. But then, like, 2 months after that as well, Rezo released a tool. So it's like, okay, well, maybe I just wasn't destined to make that track at that time anyway.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think I would have ever even given it the patience if it weren't for Resolute Kraken, because I mean, I'm sure it's like that with a lot of guys, because the whole notepad thing just intimidated the crap out of me.
Yeah, because I know nothing about coding, and I don't know if that, transfers to actual coding, but for someone that doesn't know anything about it, it looks like coding, so it's coding.
Exactly. That's how I saw it, because I don't know anything about coding either, so.
Yeah, all the dudes that do that, nuts. And I think a good few people still do use I just call it the TFC method, like the notepads and stuff. A couple people still use that. Like, I think Rubes still uses it. God, who's the other one? His name
TFC?
will come to me. Well, yeah, he still uses it. And
yeah, I'm not sure.
I think he even used that method for the series that he just did. Or I guess that he's still doing. How insane is that, though?
It's nuts, because just the SHD, like even before Resolute, the app had the SHD editor. That was probably the only thing that I did, like notepad wise. I don't want to say coding, because it's like obviously not coding, but like,
Yeah.
it's the only thing I did outside of the tool, besides the obvious stuff like making textures and whatnot, but where I actually would type out the texture names and whatnot. But yeah, if I had to do that for the entire project, then yeah, I probably would lose a lot of time and a lot of patience. So
Yeah, and you say losing a lot of time, dude. You've been pumping out the tracks from time, like with the arena crosses. Like, those were what, like a week or two apart. Yeah, and those things are stellar.
Thank you.
So good. Which, speaking of which, I wanted to talk about that too. So how did you get the idea to do the fundraiser for the privateers? That's so cool.
I have a friend in real life. His name is Jordan, and he runs a page called Everything Dirt, and he's also a photographer at all the local tracks that we ride and race at. And I'm in one of his Facebook groups, and he posted something about selling merch as a means of a fundraiser to give to privateers. And so then I texted him. I was like, hey, like, I saw your post. I know you're not super familiar with MX bikes and all like the mod stuff, but we could also sell tracks as a fundraiser, and then just make it seem like it's a real event in a way. Like, it says that it's presented by him. So like, if it were a real Arena Cross series, it'd be like, for example, Kicker Arena Cross,
Yeah.
or like AMA Arena Cross presented by Kicker or something. So we just kind of came up with that and used him as like the sponsor in a way. And then the game obviously didn't have a whole lot of Arena Cross tracks, so it would have just maybe even been a series of national tracks or whatever. But just because there wasn't any Arena Cross tracks, I thought that would be a cool idea. And I mean, like, it worked out. Like, people definitely cared to get them, but I think it could have worked a little bit better if I used nationals, because like, nobody really even plays Supercross compared to nationals, and Supercross is obviously super technical and difficult for new players. So
Which that
it probably could
definitely
have.
fluctuates in waves, though. Like, you'll get times to where every server is Supercross. Well, plus Forest. But
Yeah.
yeah, Supercross definitely comes in waves, though. Like, I think it's mostly like when A1's coming around, like, everyone's just hyped about Supercross coming up. So all the servers are on the aerial tracks, usually. But yeah, once it's like summertime, everyone's kind of done with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is I think I timed it kind of bad. But I think I was just a little excited, a little overexcited because when the first one came out, it was March or April, or maybe even May. I don't even remember when the first one came out, but it was after Supercross, so everyone was probably burned out from Supercross, and I put all these arena cross tracks. But yeah, I mean, it worked out though. I mean, that there was definitely people that cared about it and got them and showed support. So, but even like the second round all the way through the fifth wasn't as bad to make or wasn't as hard to make because as long as you have the first one done, which already has the stadium and the pits set up and just all the stuff that you can reuse, then the rest of them are a little bit easier because then you can just change the layout and then just move the bales around and redo the race data. Uh, but yeah, after the first one was a little difficult, and then I had my friend Damien, who works in LCQ Studios. He did the whole stadium,
Oh, that's so
and
cool.
yeah, he's insanely good at modeling, and so I paid him to do that, and it turned out pretty sweet. So
I was wondering about the stadium. I didn't know if it was something you found on like some modeling site or if you made it yourself. Because I was gonna say like that's super detailed, and like to just whip it up for a series. I was like, yeah, that's nuts.
yeah, my buddy Steven races. Or last year he raced for the first time the Kicker Arena Cross Series, and the first round was in Atlanta, and he texted me and asked me if I want to come down there and help him and film and just kind of help out and hang out and stuff. And I told him I'd be down, and so we went and he raced, and I got to ride my pit bike in the stadium, so that was pretty dope.
Yeah.
But but the stadium, I think it's called the Atlanta. Did I say Atlanta? I meant to say Albany. Albany, the Albany Civic Center, and me and my friend Damien were googling just or not arena cross, but stadiums, like smaller stadiums, like hockey stadiums and stuff. Because I was originally just gonna buy one and then just change up the colors and whatnot.
Yeah.
But he volunteered to do it, and so I paid him for it. And then he pretty much just took like a top-down view of the Albany Civic Center and completely just remodeled it himself. And he did pretty good at it because like even all the underground areas where the pits are pretty much look like it is in real life, and so it worked out. But
Yeah, that's sweet. So,
okay, yeah,
for the privateer, who'd you end up going, or is that still ongoing?
it's still kind of ongoing right now. The all the nationals end on the 26th. I think that's the last. I don't know. I can't remember if that's the super motocross or if that's just the last national. But I've been trying to find either one privateer or a few privateers. Um, because the amount of money that we raise, like, it's not a crazy amount of money, but it would be significant for probably like up to 3 guys. And if we
Oh
split up into
wow.
like 10 dudes, then like they probably wouldn't even really be able to afford the gas to another event. So like I think it'd be best to just maybe give it to 1 to 3 guys. But dude, I've sent out emails to a few privateers uh explaining uh the whole idea of the arena cross tracks and like a brief rundown of like the game and everything, because obviously like these guys don't play video games, so it's not like they're gonna know what the heck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I give them a brief rundown of like what we did and that people supported it and we raised money for it. And I said like I think you would be a good candidate. I think it would really help you out. Um, even if it's just a little bit, hopefully we can support you in some way. And dude, like I've sent them to a few privateers and none of them have responded. Like, uh, I would comment on like their Instagrams and be like, hey, I sent you an email. or even prior to that, I'd ask them what their email is, and they'd reply to me and tell me it, and then I'd send them the email, and then and then I'd go back to that comment and say like, hey, I sent you an email. You should check it out. I think you would really benefit from it. I think you'd like it. And then I wouldn't get like a response back. So I mean,
It's so weird.
and I know it's like, well, I mean, they're busy to an extent, especially on the weekends. But I mean, when they're not racing, then they definitely are on their phones. They're posting stuff on Instagram and whatever.
Yeah, especially.
I don't know if maybe they think it's like a scam or what, but I've still been trying though. So I don't know.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Probably a couple people would most likely think it's a scam. Like I don't think that's out of the question. But
Yeah.
I mean, you would have think like, especially with these guys like struggling to get to every single race, like someone would take you up on that. Like that, like it's such a noble thing.
Well, that's what I was hoping. I mean, um, it's not an incredibly long email. Like it's not overwhelming, or I guess I should say emails. They're not incredibly overwhelming. Like they're short and to the point enough to where I think they should be able to understand what I'm doing and the point of me emailing them. And like I'll say like if you need any more context or information, like this is my Instagram. You can see all like the posts we made of the tracks and like what the goal was, and you can see that it's like legit for yourself. And then feel free to ask me any questions if you have any, like, and I'll explain whatever I need to. Um, but like, I mean, yeah, like they're pretty well put together emails, I would argue. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they've even seen it. I don't know if maybe they just haven't replied to it yet and plan on it. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I hope Bobby
But
Piazza was on that list.
he might have been. I put up a poll and there was a bunch of guys replying to it saying who they felt deserved or yeah, who they felt deserved the money. But yeah, there was a lot of master pools. I think it'd be
Oh
cool to
yeah.
help out Time Master Pool, but he's up there. So I mean, I'm sure he's getting some kind of support. So I feel like there's people who could benefit more from it. And I mean, like I said with the arena cross stuff, like people don't play supercross nearly as much as arena cross and or as nationals, I mean, and arena cross falls into the same category as supercross, and you could even argue that it's not as probably even as good as supercross because it's even shorter, so then people probably don't feel like spending a buck on an arena cross track because it's so short, and like I get it. So like I don't have any hard feelings for anybody that doesn't want to, even if it is for a good cause. Like it's still like if I were them and played even the first few rounds and thought they were too short, even if I thought they were good, like it's understandable if they didn't want to keep buying the next ones. But there were people who still supported it and bought more. And but yeah, I'm gonna keep trying, I guess. And so I'll definitely be making a post when we help somebody out because yeah, I think it'd be cool for them to see where their money's going and whether they want to do like a sponsorship or something. Like I know that there's people that are privateers and they sell like they'll say if you pay me $800 I'll put your logo on the bike or something. Like I'll even tell them like you don't even have to do anything for me. Like there's no catch, nothing. Like we simply just made this fundraiser for you guys,
Yeah.
and that's really it. Like that's the only reason it was made in the first place. So there's no catch. You don't have to worry about anything that you have to do. Like it's already said and done. Just give me a preferred way of sending money, whether it's Venmo or PayPal or whatever. The taxes are already taken out. Like I don't have to worry about any of that stuff either. So everything's ready to be done. But yeah, no one's really said anything yet. So
Although I'm sure once someone does reply and they get a hell of a good payday, I'm sure they'll probably put something on their Instagram, and if they're, a notable enough dude, I mean, that could put MX Bikes on the map, like,
yeah,
for a
that's
lot more people that already know about it.
yeah, and that's the thing too. Like the Racer X is using track previews of Stoney's tracks. Like that's sick to
Oh,
see.
yeah.
And so like we could maybe even like bridge the gap between like motocross games, simulators, whatever, and real life motocross. Because like there's a big disconnect. Like I don't know if you saw the Pulp show with Kellen Brower on it, but at the very end of the episode, Kellen was talking about his Start Your System stuff, and like obviously Steve Mathis doesn't play video games. He doesn't know anything about that stuff.
No, he
And
doesn't
so
care.
yeah, and he doesn't care obviously. And so there wasn't a whole lot for them to talk about. But I think there's a lot of potential, and I think people could benefit from it, whether it's monetary or like advertising or whatever. Like I think there's a lot of untapped, I don't know, potential with it that could be cool if people cared. But
Yeah, and like I've thought about all this stuff before too, because I mean, for a lot of people that either A can't afford a dirt bike, or B can't ride for whatever reason, maybe it's medical or something else. Maybe they don't have a truck or they don't live close enough to anywhere to ride to where riding doesn't make sense to even try to do it. But
yeah,
like for someone to be in one of those situations to where they can't ride for whatever reason, but they want to so bad, I think even whether it's like MX Sim or MX bikes, whatever, like it's
right.
such a good way to at least get some sort of like I don't know feeling of just being around a dirt bike community. Period.
Yeah,
Whether
for
it's
sure.
in real life or on a video game, whatever. Like the fact that there's a active community behind it, like there's stuff going on. There's you can put your own actual custom graphics on your bikes and custom gear, like however you want to do it. Like it's not like the like MXGP games or you know MX versus ATV whatever to where you'd have these preset gear combos and then you just put your name and number on the back. Like it's way more than that. Like you can actually make it your own on
Yeah.
your own track, or really just like the track that you grew up riding, probably on MX bikes by this point.
Yep.
Like I know at this point, tracks that I've been to in real life. So there's obviously Walnut. There's a couple more that Muppet made that he hasn't released, and I'm not going to go into detail about that because I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what he does and doesn't want out there.
Right.
But I think there's 3 tracks that he has under wraps that I've ridden. Obviously Tampa, Dade City, Tomahawk. Um, yeah, I mean I've been to a ton of tracks that are in the game, and I know plenty of other people have too. And I just think it's so cool that you're able to take a track that you've ridden in real life, even if it was just once, or if it's a track that's right down the street from your house, and play it in a video game. Like it seems kind of normal for us at this point because it's been so long. But the first time that I saw a track that I rode in real life on a video game, I just about had a heart attack.
Mhm.
Like I was like, there is no way I'm riding this track in real life, or in a video game.
Yeah, I think that's what got me into Reflex too. Is like especially seeing it on an arcade game. But yeah, I don't mean to cut you off real quick. But do you mind if I go to the bathroom?
Oh yeah, you're good.
All right, I'll be right back.
All right, you're good.
Yeah, I think like you were saying the custom tracks, like the real life tracks. I think that's why it's so big on TikTok, is because people will see like Walnut or just whatever, some real life track, and it's in bikes, and it's such a trip for them because they don't play PC games, they don't play motocross, quote unquote simulators, whatever,
Yeah,
and to see it in like a virtual like reality is like cool to them. So I mean that's why I got into Reflex, I think. So
yeah, and that's part of the reason why I got into bikes. Like, granted, when I got into bikes, nothing that I rode in real life was on the game yet, but I kind of had this feeling, because Glen Helen was on there. Trying to think of other classic tracks, but there are other classic tracks that are very much real that I saw in the game, and I'm like, oh, I've watched so many GoPro videos of this track, or like, I watched this one on TV, or like the IRL Supercross tracks. Like, dude, even when the first Supercross game came out back in like 2018 or whatever, like even that, like, oh, dude, I remember this track watching it last year because they were a
Mm-hmm.
year behind. But like, just seeing something, anything from real life in a video game is cool.
Yeah.
Like just like 6 months ago, I got a free like Microsoft game download pass, whatever, from getting the Discord, whatever Discord's paid services.
Mm-hmm. Nitro.
Yeah, Nitro. Yeah, I don't know if I should have shame admitting that I pay for Nitro, but when you get Nitro, you get the Game Pass or whatever. So I downloaded Forza, and
Yep.
I didn't play. Like, I played Forza all grown up, but like I haven't played in years, and I got the latest Horizon, and
Me too.
and then I went into the DLC cars, and I found my Tacoma, and I'm like, oh, dude, I've got to download this. Like, this is
Yep.
my truck. It's sitting out in the driveway. So I spent $2 on the taco, and I'm driving it. I'm like, dude, this is just as slow as it is in real life. This is so
yeah.
boring, but so worth the $2.
Yeah.
And I made it the same color. I put the same wheels that I have on it, which is, bone stock, but I was like, this is so cool. I did the first person. I'm like, wow, this is just like when I'm driving to work.
I've had the same Pontiac Grand Prix since high school, and I had always wished that they would throw that car in Forza, and they never did. But
I'm surprised they didn't. I mean, I know they've got the Trans Am, and I think that's the only Pontiac they've got.
yeah, I think there's only like one or a few at least or something.
But yeah, it's just something about seeing stuff in video games. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's why all the replicas do so well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially when it's like some crazy race, like whether it's like a super mutter race in real life, or someone gets hurt, or there's a huge comeback, whatever it is. If it's like a super notable race, that track transfers in bikes. Like, it just stays relevant for longer.
Yep. I mean, if you think about it too, like the best way to get somebody to want to engage in something or enjoy something, like if there's a personal connection to it, they're already going to have a liking for it in some way. So then when you have moto and real life tracks, like people are just hooked on it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, I think you just hit the nail right in the head. Yeah, it's really just relating to the track or whatever it is. Like me relating to driving to work, and now I'm paying $2 to drive to work in a game.
Yeah.
It's
dude.
just the relatability factor.
Yeah.
Put on some story so far, or some
Yeah,
hot
dude.
milk.
Yep.
I get
You
the
know, it's
whole
funny.
vibe.
I was scrolling through our DMs earlier because we were we were talking about that girl from the track, and I didn't know who you were talking about, so I scrolled up, and then I saw our text messages talking about that, and it just threw me through a loop. I was cracking up, but yeah.
Yeah, and you were about to go to that no pressure show, and you're like, "No, I've got no one to go with." I'm like, "Dude, just go!" Like, that'll be such a sick show.
It's funny. My buddy was going with me, and then he canceled. So first we were going to a knuckle puck show, and then no pressure was at the end of that month. And he got this new job and like had to cancel on the first show. And he's like, "Yeah, to be honest, I probably won't be able to make it to the no pressure show." And I was like, "Dude, if there's anything you can do, forget the knuckle puck show. If you can make it to the no pressure show, we gotta go." I don't know if anyone else who listens to like hardcore punk, pop punk, whatever you want to call it, and there wasn't really anything I could do, and so he couldn't go. And then I got my other friend to go with me, and dude, yeah,
so
we
you did
went.
go.
Oh yeah, dude, we went, and it was in Detroit, and it was like some weird part of Detroit. It was like in the hood, And like I went to school there for a year, and I was in downtown, so downtown wasn't as bad. But like I thought I was gonna know the area we were going to, and I honestly really didn't. And so we got there, and we're like in the middle of like somewhere we've never been, and it's this tiny show. Like the entire building is like I can't really describe it in square footage because I don't know anything about math, but I mean it's tiny, like
Like
not
size
even
of
the
a
size.
McDonald's.
Yeah, maybe like not maybe like a a McDonald's and a half, maybe a McDonald's and a half. But it's literally the best way I can describe it is you walk in, and it's like the size of like a bar. So you
Yeah.
walk in, and so there's a bar, and um, then there's just like a little tiny like room with a little stage that's like waist height, and like every concert I've ever been to has either been at like an amphitheater or a full on stadium. And usually I don't even like the bigger shows, so like I'll go to a lot of the shows at like the Fillmore.
Yeah.
And this place was even smaller. Like there's a place we got in Flint called the Machine Shop, and it's super tiny. And it was exactly like that. It was a super small show. There's probably only like a couple hundred people in it. And so one band opened. It was called like Fleshwater, and then there was a second band called Koyo that played. And then so for the first two bands, there was people like doing that weird two-step hardcore dance. I don't even know what you would call it. They're just like recklessly like
Oh,
flying,
flailing their
flinging,
arms.
yeah, flailing their arms around. Dude, there's people getting hit. Like there's girls getting hit by us. There's a dude and his girlfriend who were like hugging the wall with us, and I'm not a very tall dude. So me and my other friend, who looks like he's damn near on stilts because he's so tall, are like hugging the wall, and this dude and his girlfriend get rammed into. She starts crying, so they both leave and go to like the back of the crowd because the entire front row all the way almost to the back is just a big empty circle where they just let people run in and just act like idiots. And then one dude got knocked out right in front of us.
What?
And we're like, oh my gosh, like this is like too much. So we went back to the bar, got a couple more beers, and then waited for No Pressure. And so we went back into the crowd. No Pressure comes out, and we're jamming out. They get like halfway through their set, and they're playing, I think it was like Bed of Nails or something. And the singers singing, and I'm right at the stage, like waist touching the stage. Everybody behind me is pushing forward, so like I'm sitting on the stage because I can't even stand. There's so much like force, and we start stage diving. It's the first time in my life I've ever like stage dove. We stage dove like 7 or 8 times that night, and then like Bed of Nails was playing, and Parker Cannon was singing a certain part. Then he'd reach the mic down to me, like directly to me, and then like I'm jamming out to a certain part of like the chorus, and then he goes back to him, and then back to me. Like it was the coolest shit ever, dude. It was so cool.
Dude, I love small venues. Like
Yeah.
I didn't think I loved small venues that much growing up because, you know, you think the bigger the better. But the last 2 shows that I've been to, both in Orlando and also both very much in the hood. Like one of them looked like the place wasn't in business.
Yep.
That's where I went to see Point North and a couple other bands.
Nice.
Concrete Castles was one that opened for them, which they're not a big band whatsoever, and anyone who listens to pop punk or, you know, any sort of rock or what, you know, whatever, again, whatever you want to call it, definitely check out Concrete Castles because they slap.
Okay.
But yeah, that was like another like McDonald's and a half, so small venue. And like in between sets, like you could talk at a normal inside volume, and you could pretty much talk to the dudes on the stage, like the dudes in the band, and like just have a conversation with you. And and Lil Lotus was another one that opened for them, and like the dude Lil Lotus, like he was just like walking around the crowd of like 30 or 40 people. And like he walked past me, I'm like, yo, dude, good show, man. Gave him a fist bump. He was like, thanks, man. And but yet, like, that's just so cool. Like being up close and personal, like no security. Like granted, they didn't want people stage diving there, which I don't think you could have anyway, because the crowd was small enough to where it probably wouldn't be feasible. You'd pretty much be floor diving, but
Yeah.
And then the show I saw after that, the most previous show we saw, it was State Champs and
Nice.
jeez, who opened? Babe, do you know who opened for State? Oh, she's not even in the room. I
The
look like an
drummer
idiot.
plays bikes.
Yeah, Evan Ambrosia.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a cool dude, and him and Adam Cincerillo are boys.
We've played a few times, and he's a super nice guy. He's cool.
Wait, you? Oh yeah, that's right. You do know Evan.
Yeah, we haven't talked in a few months, but yeah, we played Avalanche a few times together, and then we played that indoor pit bike track together, and we were streaming it. But
Dude, I didn't know he
Evan's
plays
cool guy.
bikes.
He keeps Steam Deck on him when they're touring.
What?
And he plays bikes on the Steam Deck, and all his bandmates just like don't care for the game at all or dirt bikes, period. And then he's just super into it.
Well, I know
It's super
Derek's
funny.
into like skating and stuff, so he's at least got like the action sports concept.
I mean, yeah, I mean they might like it to an extent. They're just not as involved as him, obviously. But
Yeah, and he was wearing a Honda shirt at the show.
yeah,
Like, yeah, he's into it.
yeah, he's a cool guy. We were playing one time, and he was asking me what music I listen to, and vice versa. And then I was
Definitely
telling him,
not
like stories
State
so far and
Champs.
stuff. Yeah.
Super
was
don't
saying-
listen to those guys.
He was it was funny because he was saying like he was so used to the music scene that kind of stuff doesn't excite him as much because he's used to it, as opposed to like the moto community. So he was talking about how like when he meets pro guys, it's an entirely different world for him. Like he was saying that he had Roxon and Cincerillo out to a show that they played. He was saying how they toured with Story So Far one time. They shared a tour bus together. And he's got a lot of cool stories. But
Dude, if I went to State Champs and I saw Roxon and Cincerillo in the crowd, I'd be like, what is going on right now?
yeah,
Like,
it'd be,
that's not real life. Doesn't
Right.
happen.
and nobody knows who they are because it's not a moto scene; it's a music scene. So then, like,
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, it was like when Trey Cool went to Supercross. Trey Cool, the drummer from Green Day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh yeah, I remember that.
yeah, and like Roxon put up a post. He was like, I got to meet Trey Cool, and like all the comments under that post was like, no, dude, Trey Cool got to meet Ken Roxon.
Yeah,
Like, don't get it twisted.
yeah. And it was funny too. You were saying how like the shows that you went to were so small. I actually forgot when we got to that No Pressure show. First thing you did was get a beer, and we're standing in line. This was right as we walked in, and Parker Cannon and the drummer of No Pressure like walk right past us, like brush shoulders right past us. I'm like, and my friend's like not familiar with them at all. He like maybe knows a few of their songs by heart, but he doesn't know anything about the members or whatever. And I looked over at him, and he's like a big Shinedown fan. I looked over at him, I was like, dude, like, the singer and the drummer just walked right past us. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. I was like, dude, that's like the lead singer of Shinedown just casually walking past you at a show. Like, that's just such a trip.
Oh,
Yeah, it
oh,
was
you're
crazy.
saying like for him it would be like.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah,
you
for
were
him.
saying the vocalist from Shinedown also plays drums in No Pressure. I was like, wait, what? Is this a Dave Grohl type of deal?
No, like, just the singer
Yeah,
and the
yeah, I got
drummer
you.
walked past. But yeah, because he's bringing the Shinedown, so I was like, yeah, that's like for you, that's like lead singer of Shinedown walking past you, because he knows like I'm big into Story So Far and No Pressure. So
Yeah.
yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah, and the other thing that I thought was so cool when we went to that Point North Concrete Castle show, so So Concrete Castles, the vocalist is a girl. I think she's like 19 or 20. Like, she rips for how young she is. She's super good vocalist. But then right after the show, she came off the stage and went into the crowd, and like her parents and grandparents were in the crowd, just like, we had no idea. But then she went up to them, she was giving them hugs, and they're like, "You did so good." And I was like, that would never happen at a stadium. You don't see that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's how music our shows are supposed to be, just smaller venues. Like that's how it should be. It's more intimate, like it's just a cooler experience.
Oh yeah, dude.
Less expensive, less people.
Yeah, I think those tickets were 15 or $20.
Yeah.
And like Point North has been like one of my top 5 bands for like 3 years now.
Yep, they're up there in my Spotify most listened to.
The only thing that sucked about that was right before Point North came on, the vocalist, I'm blanking on his name right now, but he came up on stage. He's like, "Hey guys, so just letting you know, I don't have a voice right now. I'm pretty sure I have COVID," which it turned out he did. He's like, "Yeah, I don't have a voice. I haven't said a word all day trying to like remedy it, trying to save my voice, but like it is completely gone. We're still gonna play, but I'm not gonna be the one singing. We're gonna have all the other vocalists from all the opening bands singing my songs. So like, I hope you guys are all right with it. Like, I hope you're not too upset with me, and hope you understand, and just know we will be back." And so like, even though he wasn't singing, so like it didn't sound completely like Point North, like it was so cool. Like, you had all the other vocalists up there like with the lyrics on their phone, like learning the songs in real time. And like that should be like a, "Oh, I want my money back" type of moment. Like, what is this? They don't even know the words, and it's not even the full band. Like, this is the headliner. Like, what are you talking about? But like, dude, the crowd carried that show so much, and it was just such a cool experience. And it's something you wouldn't see at any other show.
Right.
I can't think of any time where right before the show that like a bandmate's like, "Hey, just so you know, I'm calling in sick today. Like, sorry."
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta go to more concerts. I'm getting in the mood for them right now just talking about them.
You and me both.
And like, here in a couple months, Avenged Sevenfold and I forget the opening act, but it's something that I don't super care about. And I used to be a huge Avenged Sevenfold fan in like middle school and high school, but after the Rev passed, they kind of fell off for me.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm kind of considering talking Amber into letting us go, because she hates Avenged Sevenfold. So that'd be like a super like, "Hey, if we go, I'll get you dinner on the way" type of thing.
Right.
But I mean, like, it's slim pickings right now. There's not many good shows that are coming around. And for me at this point to say like, "Oh yeah, I want to go see Avenged Sevenfold," it's like, damn, it's really dry out here.
Right. That's funny. Yep.
And everyone's going on tour too, but no one's coming to Florida. Like, Point North's on tour right now. Parkway Drive, although I think Parkway Drive's in Oz right now. Architects. Yeah, like all my favorite bands are on tour, but none of them are coming around.
I want to go to Florida.
Dude, if you come down to Florida, whether you have a bike or not with you, you've got a room down here, you've got a bike to ride. We'll go shred Tampa or Moto Bros, whether you like Supercross or outdoor style tracks. We'll go rip something.
Appreciate that. I've only been to Florida tracks and trails, and they didn't even have the pro track open because it was full of rain ruts. But uh, yeah, I want to go to Florida again soon, and whether it's for vacation or to ride, I appreciate that though. Yeah, what part of Florida are you from?
Lakeland.
Where's that at?
It's smack dab in the center between Tampa and Orlando.
Okay, that's funny because my friend's grandparents live in Florida. I don't remember what town it is, but it's 20 minutes away from the Stewart compound. And so a few years ago when we went to Florida, we took the bikes. Actually, no, I'm sorry. This was a different trip. We went down there and just out of curiosity, we found out where it was because he remembered that his grandparents lived like near it. So we Google Maps it or whatever, and and then drove to it, got to the front gate, and just checked out the front gate. And that was all we were trying to do, was just like soak in the fact that we were actually at the Stewart compound.
Yeah.
And then like 2 seconds later, somebody calls in through like the intercom thing to the gate and asks us something, and we were just like, "Oh no, we're just here to check out the gate. We just thought it'd be cool to stop by and see what it's like in person. We don't have any kind of intentions or whatever." And they were like, "Oh, well, if you come around tomorrow at 3 p.m., we'll let you in and you guys can come get like a tour of the track."
No way.
Yeah, dude. And then so we go back to his grandparents, hang out for the night, go to bed, and then the next day we drove back out there and we talked through the intercom. We were like, "Hey, we were here yesterday and they said that we could come back at 3 p.m." And they're like, "Okay, yeah, just 1 second." And so they open the gate and we drive both our cars into the gate of the Stewart compound. And like, I have it all on my Snapchat. Like, I'm taking videos of us pulling up to the driveway. I'm like, dude, there's no way we're at Stewart compound right now. I'm filming it and everything. And we get there, and then Malcolm's mechanic is there, and then some other guy, and they're in like a UTV. And they let us hop on the UTV, and they gave us like a little tour. And we were like, dude, this place looks so much like how it wasn't alive, and so much different than how it wasn't alive. And they had no idea what we were talking about. And we're like, yeah,
What?
this game. We're like, yeah, dude, this game was the DLC for MX vs ATV Alive. And they're like, oh, yeah, we had no idea this was in a video game. We're like, yeah.
It's in a
And
few.
so we took a bunch of photos, and they were like super cool guys. So we were there probably like 30, 45 minutes, and then we left. But yeah, I still have all the photos and videos on my Snapchat. It was sweet.
Dude, that's insane.
Yeah, it was surreal, dude. It was crazy.
Yeah, I live about 35 minutes away from there, and so my dad works with this guy that like knows we're all into motocross, and I'd say for probably 4 years now, my dad's been telling me, yeah, this guy says, well, I guess he is actually family friends with the Stewarts, like he's known them before James was born, but like my dad would tell me like, yeah, he's talking again about how he wants to get us in there and like see the compound and like meet everyone. I'm like, well, he also said that last year. He said that like 6 months ago. He said that he's probably going to say that in another couple months, but he never actually invites us. He just says at some point we've gotta. And like, I would love to. I would totally love to take him up on that offer. Because the first offer that ever got brought up was for me to bring the bike there. And so I had my hopes up about that for the longest time. And then bringing the bike there changed to a tour. And the tour changed to him and my dad don't really talk. So I'm kind of butthurt about that, but, you know, it be what it do.
You just do what we did. Show up to the gate.
Honestly, now that I know that that works.
I mean, it makes me wonder how many people they let in, because we literally straight up told them, we're just like, yeah, we have no affiliation. We're just here to check it out because we're just big fans, and we know like the track is like a big, famous, well-known track. and they just like offered to let us in. So I mean, chances are you could just show up and say that, and they'd probably let you in. So
Well, you know what I also live about 30 minutes away from is Chad Reed's old place, the one that Jet and Hunter train at in Dade City, the one that JV literally just put out.
right.
Yeah, it's like 30, 35 minutes away over in Dade City.
There you go.
That's where I really got to go. I got to go up there. Hey, Jet, you remember that jersey you gave me a couple years ago? You never signed it.
There you go. Did you see that El Puppy Jr. guy's vlog through Redbud?
No.
He was talking to Jet and Chase Sexton and all those guys, and he was talking to Jet about playing bikes. And because I want to say Jet plays sim. I'm not
Yeah, he
100% on that,
does.
but I think he does. Yeah. And he was like, "When are we gonna get you on bikes?" And Jet was like, "I've thought about it or something, but I've just been playing VR golf, and that's it." So,
VR
but now that
golf.
now his compound's in the game. So I commented on JV's post. I was like, "Yeah, now he's got no choice but to get bikes."
Exactly. Yeah, it'd be cool to see more pro guys like posting about bikes. I mean, I know they've got real lives to focus on and real bikes.
Yep.
Oh, Buttery's another one that played bikes for I think probably just once. He posted a video of Medium playing Winchester, and he threw a whip that just didn't come back, and he crashed, and that's the only video of them playing bikes, but it happened.
Right. Yeah. I didn't know he played.
No, he probably doesn't, but they probably went to someone's house, they had bikes, and they're like, dude, check out this dirt bike game. And they're like, oh, sick.
Probably. Yep. We put out one of those reflex toxic videos, and Hunter Lawrence liked it.
Damn.
And I was like, dude, how sick would it be to verse Hunter Lawrence and reflex? But I know for a fact that dude's not spending any time on his PC.
Yeah.
So if he even has a PC.
Yeah, I can't imagine how insane those guys' lives have to be.
Oh yeah.
Cause like I was listening to Gypsy the other day about it, and he was like without any of the training or racing or anything dirt bike related, they've got to talk to so many people on a daily basis. Whether it's all the fans that they're talking to and taking pictures with, all of the autographs they're signing, all of the interviews, and like it's just got to be so draining to just be a top pro guy.
Oh, I bet.
Answering the same question over and over and over. Like for Jet, how many times this season do you think he's been asked, oh, well, what do you think about the perfect season? Like there's got to be a point to where he's like, I don't want to hear that question ever again in my life.
Yeah, and then he's got probably all the hot fangirls coming up to him too and just complimenting the hell out of him, dude.
Yeah, which dubs for him.
Yeah.
I mean, good on him for staying away from that stuff too, because I mean, we've seen time and time again, like once the girls get involved for pro riders, like it's over.
Yeah.
Like there's the good ones that come in, like Christian Craig's wife and Ken Roxon's wife. Like all of the wives are good.
Yeah.
But like the ones that just mess around with like girls, yeah, their careers are done.
Yep. Yeah, the entire party scene. Yeah, I think that's why I have a certain respect for Hunter and Jet, because like I can't say they're so young, but I mean, even when they first were like 16 and racing, like they weren't involved in all the party crap. Like they were completely involved. And
I mean, they might still be kind of young. I mean, Hunter's like 22, 23 or whatever. But like for one, they're in their prime of like I don't know, I'd say clout for lack of better terms, but like their options are infinite.
Oh yeah, dude.
Big
time.
I mean, they could have anything they want. Although, I think, yeah, Hunter does have a girlfriend. You just don't see her. She's kind of like behind the scenes.
Probably, yeah.
Because I found out from Hunter's birthday, he reposted one of her stories, and he's like, "Oh, thanks, babe," all this stuff. And I was like, "Babe? Like, who's he calling babe?" So, like, I went to her profile, and, like, all she does is post about him. But then you go to Hunter's profile, and you would have no idea. And it's like, maybe she does want to kind of be, like, in the background, like, not have the Lawrence clout and just day in the life.
Yep.
Which, yeah, I don't blame her one bit.
This is like kind of on topic, kind of off topic. Might be a little dicey for the
potty pod.
For the podcast, yeah. But do you know about the whole Levi Kitchen thing?
Oh yeah, yeah, the whole underage stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Found out about that recently, kind of recently, but.
Yeah, I've heard from a couple sources. I used to coach with a dude that went to college with him at Florida, whatever, Tallahassee College. And yeah, he said when he went to college with him, it was like every week. I mean, I don't know how much drama I could get with, a factory rider from a podcast that probably gets a couple hundred views, but I'll just say it. Yeah, I heard like every weekend it was like bringing high school girls back to his dorm, and like not like seniors like 18 or like barely 18, but like freshman, sophomore, that type of stuff. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, not good. Red flag.
Stop
what you're doing.
I watch a lot of those predator catching videos where they bait predators into meeting up with like 13-year-old boys and girls, or younger than that, even like minors. And the two biggest channels, I shouldn't say probably the biggest, but like some of the biggest, are in Michigan and Ohio, and I'm from Michigan, and so a lot of the stuff that they film is like around my area, like malls around me and stuff, and that's how I got big into it. Because
Skeeter
there was
Teen.
like, yeah, Skeeter, dude, yeah, I watched him all the time. Him and Dads Against Predators. I first got into the Dads Against Predators, and then I got into Skeeter. And it's funny because my friend's older brother went to like one of those underground shows, and Skeeter was there because he's into like the same music, and they got a photo together and stuff. Yeah, and but yeah, like I'll watch those, and then I'll see, like his situation, a freaking like 22, 23-year-old dating a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, should he really be getting like as much praise as he's getting? Like, is that even my place to really say that? And at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's, yeah.
Like,
it's hard for me to support somebody who's, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a fine line, even talking about it, but like if he was like 18 or 19 dating like a 17-year-old, or maybe like 16 and 3/4, like, yeah, still very much illegal, but like not the craziest thing anyone's ever heard of.
Yeah, but like not like a 32-year-old with a 14-year-old or something, yeah, of course,
But yeah, like once you get in your 20s, like once your age is 2 something,
yeah,
the game's pretty much over. Like you
there's a boundary.
Yeah. You got to go up a tier.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, before we close it out, the one last thing I wanted to ask about is MX Unleashed Racine.
Oh boy.
That dude, there's like so much depth in that track. Like you had I think you had teased it a while before you released it. Like I think like months and months before you released it, you were putting out teasers on the forum, which I know you did that for Hurren Compound as well. And I know I freaked out when I saw those pictures for the first time. But so Racine in specific, where did you? I mean, did you just make the height map like from scratch?
Yeah, I found a YouTube video of like a race or a lap or something that somebody had recorded off their PS2 or something, and so it was funny because it was like a 4:3 ratio, and then like the person who uploaded the photo or the video, I'm sorry, was stretching the 4:3 out to a 16:9. And you know how when you play Unleashed, there's the track layout in the top corner of the
Yeah.
window, and so I took that and then like squashed it down to 4:3 again, so it was proportionate. And then I had my PlayStation 2 hooked up on my TV on the other side of my bedroom, and I was playing Racine, and then turning over in my chair and just adding and then going back and forth and just kind of eyeballing it for the most part. Um, but yeah, it's funny that you brought that up because that track, I don't know, there's just so much I would change about it. Like I would definitely made it a lot easier if I
Yeah, what you did put
could
out
have,
a
but
easy version.
yeah, I mean it was easier, I'll say. I mean people still, I guess, had a hard time, but I guess like when you're playing a track that you made and you're going back and forth on it so much, it becomes easier for you. And if you think about it, like you're putting more time into playing it than probably a lot of people who play it and have enough patience to keep playing it.
Will ever have.
Exactly. And so it's easy for you.
Yeah.
And for me, it wasn't even like Supercross. Like even when I made that track, I still couldn't ride a Supercross track in MX bikes for crap. But yet I was still just running laps on him. Like I mean, yeah, I just still fell here and there, but like I was running some solid laps on it. I was like, this is easy enough, I think. And then a lot of people were saying that it was too hard and the the hills were too steep and whatnot. And like I get it, like Supercross, it's you could probably relate it to Supercross in a way because of it's the technicality of it, but yeah, I mean, I think for the most part I was focused on making it look like the PlayStation 2 version and getting the farm in and getting the proportions for the most part right.
Yeah, I
But
mean
yeah,
everything down to the bridges, the fences, the water tower. I mean, dude, it looks like if you haven't touched MX Leashed in a while and you loaded up Racine on bikes, you'd probably think it looks like exactly the MX Unleashed version. Like, unless you put them up side by side, like you wouldn't really notice a difference,
yeah.
which is so cool.
Thank you.
But yeah, I would agree. It's pretty hard. But I actually didn't get the easy version because I kind of like the smoke.
Mm-hmm.
I like that hard factor. But I did find a lot of huge lines on that track. So one of the big lines that I thought was probably the most satisfying to hit, I had to go in the CR 500 and come from way off the map. I think pretty much to the map edge. And you know the steep uphill double double?
Yeah.
I quadded that.
Oh my gosh. I believe it. Yeah.
And then the other one, so in the finish line section there's the double, triple, finish line table, and then triple.
Yep.
So I did the same thing. I came from the track edge and then hit the finish line takeoff, and I quadded, or I guess you could say quadded, and landed the downside of the triple. That was also like a fifth pinned on 500 jump.
Jeez.
Yeah, I had so many good times on that track, and yeah, I think it's a masterpiece. I can definitely see where everyone would get frustrated with the difficulty, but
Yeah.
if it was way too easy, I mean, there'd be nothing to it. Like, it would pretty much look nice, be a little nostalgic, and then, Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
think difficulty factor for tracks is so important because if it takes a long time to actually like master it, that keeps you around for longer.
yeah, and like you get to be careful with it to some extent, but like you don't want a track that's just a highway, and at the same time you don't want it to be only fun for people who have over 1,000 hours into the game. So it's like hard to find like the right spot, I guess. I guess it's
Yeah,
not that hard, but I mean, like there's parts of you that wants to make it pushing a boundary to an extent because you've just been playing it over and over and over and over and over again,
yeah,
and then you're like, well, I mean, should probably leave this spot at least a little easier, just so people can just enjoy it, and then the faster guys can find a creative line through it or something. But
oh, that's a perfect balance to hit when you can make it fun, like not only rideable but fun for beginners and quote unquote pros alike.
yep.
I mean, that's the best way to make a track stick.
Oh yeah. As long as if you have multiple line choice, then everybody's for the most part happy. I mean, people who aren't as good can take a certain line, and then whoever's faster can take a more challenging line or get creative with it, especially with sand tracks because it's just whopped out bumps everywhere. So like, there's a lot of different options.
Yeah, yeah, and like you were saying, you don't want it to be a highway. I think going back to Avalanche, I think perfect example of like it's a pretty flat track, like as in like not a whole lot of roughness, but it's perfect with like the balance between not being a highway and not being too rough.
Yeah.
To where it's like it's easy enough to where you could just flow in it. There are big lines to where if you're just on the pipe, you could squeeze out some big stuff. But yeah, if you just want to flow around and chill, I mean, it's got the flow.
Mhm. Yeah, glad you like it.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing that you put out that I haven't liked. I'm going through both your MXB mods and shop page right now. And yeah,
Oh, dude, if you saw my first reflex tracks, you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, what is this crap?"
which yeah, before we started talking, like the first couple minutes, I didn't know you started on reflex, which that makes a lot more sense. Like you see guys like you and Red and some other guys to where you put out your first track and it's like, where did this come from? Like how'd you go from nothing to this? It's like, oh, well, I started in reflex. Like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and back then we were, or at least I was a teenager, so I didn't invest as much time and effort into learning certain design tools and whatnot. But the first track I ever put out was an arena cross track that went into the stands like Detroit Supercross did.
Yeah.
And this guy, Alex Heckman, who was like a big, he was decently big into the reflex track review stuff. And then he also rode in real life, but I didn't know he was from Michigan. And so there eventually came a time where I met up with him in real life, and so that was cool. But yeah, like my first actual track that I ever made never got uploaded, but it was like some little tiny, like it was smaller than an arena cross track. It almost looked like the size of a little backyard track, and then around it was like this giant stadium because when you use the track making tool, it comes with a bunch of assets that were ripped from the game. So you could put like the Kingston Stadium in there, and I think that's what I did. I put like the Kingston Stadium in there, and then there was like this super tiny track that was like 50 meters from even the perimeter of like the stands.
Oh,
And
no way.
it was so gumpy, but like back then, man, I thought it was like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been into track creators, like whether it was MTX Moto Tracks or whatever else. So if I got my hands on the Reflex Track Maker when I was like playing Reflex, like yeah, dude, I probably would have done the same thing. Like I would have thought like, oh, it's just like MTX where I'll just put some jumps down and call it a day. And then yeah, I would probably come up with the same type of thing to where there's just dead space and it's scaled way off, or
when you're
kind of like my first two MXB tracks were. Or
when you're like 16 to 18 making reflex tracks, dude, you're like a kid in a candy store. At least if you have the patience for it, because it was, I don't know, it's hard to distinguish whether bikes or reflex is easier making tracks for, but like when things go well, like it's like the coolest thing ever, and I think that's what made reflex so cool. But
yeah, dude, I think we pretty much covered it all.
But we've been talking for a while.
yeah, we're just over 2 hours, which this is the longest one by about 30 minutes.
Dang, dude, yeah, it feels like we've been talking for like 3. I've lost track of time, dude.
Yeah, I mean, we covered bikes, we covered reflex, IRL stuff a little bit, music. Yeah,
the music thing, there was some point I was trying to get at earlier, and I completely, like, my brain just went dead. But yeah, I know that after this is done, I'm gonna remember what I was talking about and what I was trying to correlate it to. But yeah, dude, it was fun for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. And this should be out. I'm probably gonna try advertising this one a little bit before I actually do put it out, because that's one thing that I've been not doing so far, and I think that would probably help out the podcast a little bit. Like put out a couple clips on like the Instagram story, like, hey, I got Hurren on the show. Here's what he said about Levi Kitchen. Make sure you tune in.
Dude, that'd be hilarious.
Tag him in that.
Oh, dude, I don't mean to go off topic, but there's been a couple times when I'll check a comment section and somebody will mention that, and I won't say anything, and I'll just see somebody mention it, and Kitchen will reply to it and say something, and then delete his comment.
Well, dude, on that topic, actually, so my buddy Tristan, he's the one that got me into bikes MXB in the first place. He was telling me a story from like a month ago or something, and there was a picture with Levi Kitchen with a couple of the Monster Girls, like on the podium or something. And my buddy Tristan, I hear you already laughing.
Yeah.
He put a comment there, was like, Levi's gonna be upset when he finds out that they're all above 18.
Bro, that's hilarious, because that's exactly what happened on a post that I saw like a month ago. I went to go. It was the video of Deegan talking about his race, and then Kitchen is sitting beside him with dyed hair, and he's just zoned out. And somebody,
that was the one.
Yeah, somebody commented and was like, he found out that the Monster Girls weren't underage. And I replied to that comment and said something. And then that guy who originally posted that comment replied to me, and he was like, yo, Levi Kitchen just replied to this and then deleted his comment. I was like, no way. He's like, yeah, I just DM'd you a screenshot of it. And so that guy said Kitchen found out that the Monster Girls weren't underage. And he replied and said, yeah, unfortunately, or something, and then deleted that comment.
Like, dude, like it's one thing to laugh at yourself for certain things, but like that's a topic to where if that's like what you're known for, like you should not be playing into that.
Yeah.
Like just leave that alone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I mean, like, to an extent, I feel like you could say the same about the people who are calling him out for it. But I mean, if you think about it, like, you can't really blame them. At least in my opinion. Like,
No, dude, if you're calling out pedophiles, like, all power to you. Like, good on you.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if there's people that are gonna overlook something a little shady just because they're a pro athlete, like that's just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Like, they're still normal people,
Yeah. Yeah, but
but
then
people,
if you are the dude that's doing shady stuff and then someone calls you out on it, even if it is in like a joking setting, uh and you play into it, like it's not like you're not allowed to do that or like it's groundbreaking, evidence or like newsflash, but like that's just so weird to play into it. Like why
yeah.
why would you say yeah, unfortunately? It's so
It's like he subconsciously knows that it's wrong, but he's like too invested, or he's whatever. Because I mean, I would assume that they've probably been talking since she was 15. I mean, I don't know every single little detail of it, but I've seen enough fairly accurate stories that it's legitimate. And whether her parents allowed or legally signed for them to be together, whatever, then I mean, it could be worse, I guess. But at the same time, it's like you're 22, 23, like, and plus you're a pro motocross racer. Like, dude, what girl? Can't say any girl, but I mean, like, I would argue that you have a better chance of getting a girl that you want to date as somebody who's successful.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're the ugliest dude out there. Like if you're if you're, even top 10ing every pro race, like you got some good pickings.
yeah,
Like
oh yeah,
why I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't make sense to us cuz we're not,
right. We're just guys who play video games to make tracks on video games.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't talk to girls.
Yeah,
That's gross.
yeah. What is a female?
Exactly. All right, dude, but yeah, I think we'll call it there. Thanks a ton for coming on. Sorry I kept having to like push it back.
Oh no, you're good, dude. It worked out great for me, and I appreciate you inviting me. So
Yeah.
I think this is like the first time. Is this the first time that we've legitimately like spoken vocally, or?
Before this, I have never heard your voice, period.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah,
Yeah, no, it was
before
sweet.
it I was thinking like what if he has a weird voice? Like what if he sounds like a goblin or something? I don't know.
Oh, dude, you're not making my self-esteem any better.
But like
I'm just kidding.
there's
But
there's
yeah.
a couple dudes that I know either there's a language barrier or they probably have a super heavy accent and I cannot I can't listen to accents. Like I'm so bad at listening to accents and being able to tell what people say. So like I'm nervous to invite certain people on the show or whatever it is. Like I'm nervous to invite people and then we start the call and I'm like, "Yo, dude, what's up?" And they say whatever and I'm like, "I don't know what you just said and this is going to be a long 2 hours."
I'm the same way, depending on whoever's accent it is and what the accent is. But yeah, I hear you, dude.
But
Yeah, it's funny because I think about that, like, even if it's just talking to people on Discord, or like if I have like a phone call with a client or something for my design business, and I'm like worried that I sound like a teenager, and they're like, "Wow, this guy doesn't sound legit. He probably doesn't know anything about design, even though I've seen his website. But like, he sounds like a kid." But yeah, I worry about that stuff sometimes. But that's funny though. I
well,
thought I was
dude,
the only one.
for me too in real life. So I'm a construction manager, and like, uh, there's a certain distinct group of people that mostly work construction that mostly come from a Spanish speaking background, and when they do speak English, it is a very heavy accent. And I feel horrible because like I'll be at work like talking to the dudes and I'm like, "Hey, like we got to get this done or whatever." and they'll tell me like whether they need material or something, or something's going wrong, they need answers or whatever, and like I'll be on the third what, and like I still can't figure out what they're saying. And like nothing against them, like just the fact that they can speak two languages, like I give them mad props, but like I can't tell what you're saying. No fault of your own, all fault, on me, because I'm also pretty deaf. I can't hear a thing.
I hear you.
Yeah, I just hate that because I'm super socially awkward. So when that happens, like I just act like I heard them and go about my day. And if I totally screw something up because I didn't, order material or whatever the case is, and they told me straight to my face and I said okay, like I just look like a big goober.
I mean, I don't get that vibe off you. I think you're pretty well spoken, at least from what we've talked about and stuff. But yeah, no, I go through the same stuff, dude. I'm the same way. I mean, I'm no construction guy or have to deal with people like that every day, but yeah, I definitely know what you're talking about for sure.
Yeah, and I feel
especially
bad.
being a younger guy, so it's like
yeah, but yeah, I super appreciate it, and yeah, I could tell. Geez, I can't remember his name right now for whatever reason. Damn, I feel really bad because we were just talking about Pelster. I know Pelster wasn't lying. We started talking about cutting it at like right before 2 hours, and we're at almost 2 hours and 20 minutes. But yeah,
you gotta get Pelster on here, dude.
yeah, we'll eventually have him. Yeah, I've got a big list of dudes that I want to come on. So far it's pretty much just been track builders, but like I want to do YouTubers, probably like I don't really know anything about the pro scene, but like maybe McChicken. He's like the only one I know, and I don't know much about him, but I know for like years he was like royalty in MXB.
Yep.
It'd be cool to hear from him and YouTubers, streamers, whatever.
Well, if it's any sufficiency to you, I think that we could definitely do something with the game to get it more involved with the moto community and just bridge the gap in some way. And I think we could do something really cool with it. So whoever you have on the podcast, I'm sure it'd be sweet. So I got faith in you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, and same thing with your tracks. I mean, you're doing tons of cool stuff, whether it be, the fundraisers or, really anything else.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, appreciate it, man.
I think it's super sweet. And I'll make sure to link your website down in the bio or description or whatever YouTube does. And yeah, if you've got any other links you want down there, just hit me up and I'll throw them in.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks.
All right, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, likewise, man. Thank you. See you later.